And welcome back, Esports fans, to another game in the PCS Week 4, Day 1. I'm, of course, still Pyrotechnics. He's, of course, Clement. It'd be weird if our names changed, right? So we gotta make sure we are keeping them consistent throughout. We're also keeping something else consistent throughout, is, of course, our wonderful sponsors, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. Clement, we've had some scrappy games tonight. I think we might be in for a few more.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun one. Hong Kong Attitude coming on to the Rift, their debut today, and they're going to do so with a new mid laner, actually a callback from Spring Split, as we do have Bivin being signed and inserted into the starting lineup immediately. I will say Hong Kong Attitude recently has been having a bit of a struggle. They dropped their games to impunity, and they're on a 2-game losing streak so far. But, excuse me, I'm still very surprised by this change because honestly, Bivin wasn't that much of a shining star in Spring Split, and I actually felt like Hongso had a couple of good moments here, but we will see how this, how should I put this, briefly Hong Kong Attitude mid laner, now coming back into the roster, what he will change for the rest of the team.
Yeah, it is really curious, but Hong Kong Attitude, they've made a couple of swaps in the mid. We even had Wen coming in briefly for a game. Didn't really impress that much, so they continue to play around with their roster a bit. And Hong Kong Attitude are certainly a team that are kind of looking for some answers because their split in summer hasn't been honestly all that great. They found some success on, letting Kongye kind of carry them a little bit. I do think they are, I guess, maybe looking for consistency. And even though Bivin in spring was, I don't know, solidly meh, maybe they are just expecting a little bit more out of him.
Yeah, we had Bivin with, he was touted as one of the best LeBlanc players, and coming into it, there was a lot of hype around him, but he actually played most of the split on TF and Orianna, and neither of them were really that great coming into it. But we're taking a look at Liyab, as this is going to be their second match of the day. They did have a little bit of an unfortunate showing against J-Team. J-Team did take them down without too many problems overall. And unfortunately for them, that does mean that they're not able to continue on to that win streak. Always hope for a bit of a streak to go on for Liyab. But welcome back to Liyab Advanced Tactics. We'll see what they put up this time.
I am hoping to see a little bit more. We'll have to find out. Let's take a look at our comparison. Today it will be in the bottom lane in the supports. In fact, K versus Aiden. I do think Aiden had a pretty decent showing against the likes of J-Team, trying to set up some plays, but he also baited his AD carry a few times, to be fair.
Yeah, Aiden's engages in game one were a bit of a head scratcher. I think he tried to play ultra aggressively, which is definitely the way Dawn also plays the lane, but it ended up falling into traps. And I think that's what we have to look for this game. The bottom lane has typically been where, unfortunately, Liyab do lose most of their early game advantages. So if that lane can hold on, then Liyab has a massively improved chances going into the mid game. In the meanwhile, we do have K coming from the other side. Our first Trundle support of professional play in season 11 so far. So he's got that credit in the books already. But I think he's going to be playing for a little bit more. Thresh is definitely going to be his best champion, and because of that, I do like Hong Kong Attitude when they're playing more around teamfight teams. I think Eminem is very good as an AD carry. He can play all different sorts of types. We have seen him on the Aphelios, which is his most played. And he also does pretty well with the Callista, and both of these champions pair very well with the Thresh. So coming into the draft phase, I do think Thresh is almost a must ban against Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Liyab do open up with a Viego ban and Hong Kong Attitude for their side, ban away the Lucian and the Diana. It does seem like, Liyab find a solution. They find a win on a Diana carry comboing up with the Yasuo, and they just said, you know what, let's just remove the Diana, not give Dodoy an opportunity to do that again. And there is that Thresh ban against Hong Kong Attitude.
Diana at this point is pretty much the Heimerdinger to Moonblack as is to Dodoy. You don't want to give Yasuo Diana over to Liyab. That's the only composition they have won so far. So just going to make sure that never gets into the books. I wonder if LeBlanc is going to be a high priority here. This is why Bivin was so... basically why he got his shot on Hong Kong Attitude in the spring split. And we did see a lot of great games with him on the pick in Amateur League. but I'm not sure if he's still going to be playing towards the same sort of champion types. We're just going to get a very standard Gwen opening, and so far Gwen is still, we talked about this throughout this entire split, but she's still the best, highest win rate champion with 10 plus games so far in the PCS.
Yeah. So that will be locked in. And Hong Kong Attitude actually haven't taken it in the top side just yet. It has been a Kongye pick so far for them. Liyab, they will go ahead and lock in the Varus. That will be Dawn's second. Definitely a champion you can play back, play a little bit more supportive on. But engaged supports are pretty much all what Liyab's bot lane are about. So we do see the Leona coming through. And that is going to be locked.
Do like this from Liyab. I typically do prefer Liyab when they play towards their solo lanes. I feel like that's where their, in terms of individual strengths, do lie. So it allows Dawn to play relatively safe rather than confrontational. On the other side, we do have Hong Kong Attitude going for the Xin Zhao, and the Olaf comes out.
Yeah, instantly. No hesitation from Dodoi.
A bit of a Dodoi special right there. I've said this many times that I'm not a huge fan of the Olaf, even though there were buffs coming through. I don't think it's particularly strong of a champion, and it does rely on snowballing quite a bit to keep its relevance up into the later stages of the game. Meanwhile, for Hong Kong Attitude, Eminem was an understudy under Unified for a long time, so no surprises here. He knows how to play the Jhin. It does look like both of these drafts are going to be trending towards the top side, as we have very safe bottom lanes coming out from both sides.
And now that we have the Xin Zhao locked in, so many counter picks, or rather powerful picks, being available for Hong Kong Attitude, they should be telegraphing that Gwen definitely goes towards the top side of the map. So we still need to see what Bivin is going to take after this ban phase, and what they will pair in the bottom side for K. But the focus on banning away the top, trying to give a better matchup for Rock, does mean that there will be no Jace this game. For Liyab's side, they're getting rid of the Nautilus.
And just looking at Kanji's champion pool, he has played some pretty weird things, actually. He has gone for the Lucian. So I wonder if... Oh, that's actually taken off the board already. So Liyab actually... Hong Kong Attitude way ahead of me, knowing that they want to go into the Gwen matchup, so taking away what Kanji plays. And Kanji has been super interesting in terms of the champion pool. He played the Urgot earlier today, and so far he's already on... He's already on 7 different champions in 8 games. So it's kind of hard to expect what you are going to get from Kanji, but I do want to see some sort of counter pick. In the PCS, we have seen Nars go up against Gwen. Not too successful, in all honesty. We've also seen the Kennen coming out. But outside of these off-meta picks, I don't think anything has worked particularly well. Gwen right now is still a 73% win rate in the top lane.
That's still pretty crazy considering how many games we are in. And they are actually just going to straight go into the Fiora. So Kanji just saying that he wants to take the challenge.
Yeah, we did see a Fiora game from earlier, but didn't work out very well. Fiora is one of those picks that I feel like requires quite a bit of team coordination to do well on. She is more of a side lane split pushing champion, and she is going to be missing most of the early game team fight. So we'll see if Liyab can play around that fact, or if they can just all in onto Dawn in the top side. We are going to get a Rise coming out from Bivin. Interesting enough, this is also Hongsuo's most played champion, so I guess nothing really changes for Hong Kong Attitude with these two players.
Not with comp, at least.
Yeah, not with the champion pools. And also just a Braum rounding the comp out here. I don't mind the Braum. It's a very strong skirmish champion. And what we have from Hong Kong Attitude definitely looks like a good skirmish core with Rise being able to join team fights, and with Xin Zhao just starting things off. So Hong Kong Attitude looking like they have a great 1-3-1 composition, very unconfrontational AD carry that can stay far behind, and 2 side lanes that can split push into the later game with great scaling. So they have their composition locked in. While Liyab, we are just waiting for that mid laner, and it is going to be the fabled Xaylia plus Dodoi connection with the Lulu and Olaf. They ran this with the Xin Zhao, and now they're running it with the Olaf again. We've seen this plenty of times, and it's a really strong counter against Rise. Oh boy. You can actually interrupt Rise. Yeah, you can interrupt Rise with the Polymorph, so it doesn't allow him to escape anymore. And I think that's one of the things that's very powerful in this composition. You should expect mid-jungle priority to go over to Liyab.
Yeah, I love this. You know, no Xinjiao, no problem. They're just going to put it on the backs of Dodoy, and there's going to be a gigantic Viking running at the Hong Kong Attitude side. Liyab definitely telegraphing their intentions this game, but I love what they brought out again. We already talked about a pretty creative draft last time around. We'll see if this one works out for them. Hong Kong Attitude are definitely a team that have had some ups and some downs. And honestly, at this point, definitely more downs than ups, and made some changes in the roster. We'll see if Bivin makes a big difference for them. So far, composition, champion choices, not a huge difference in this first game debut, as Hongsuo had played a lot of the Rise. So looking across at both, you know, nameplates off, Clement, who do you like a little more here?
This is going to sound weird, but I actually sort of favor Liyab's draft. I feel like they have a really good bridges between all different phases of the game. If you're talking about the early mid phase of the game, they have Olaf plus the Lulu, which is able to just push in, take control of the jungle. You have Varus that has that great crowd control, and you should be able to chain early Drakes together. And then in the later phases of the game, you have this Fiora matchup, which into the like really end phases, she should be able to take out Gwen just one-on-one. So Liyab, I think they have a really well-rounded draft. It is lacking damage in terms of the 5v5 in the late phase of the game, but they have answers in all different phases. For Hong Kong Attitude, I think this is a comp that doesn't really get online until post 6. Early game, I think this is a rather slow composition, and the way you're looking to get through most of your mid game is actually through picks that can be generated from very long distances. You have Curtain Call that comes in from like 3,000 range, and Realm Warp that can just pop out of nowhere. So you can play very aggressively with Kongyue going on solo missions and the rest of the team funneling towards him and using that rotational edge against Liyab. Once they get past that point, though, into the very late games, I actually do favor the comp a little bit more. I do take the Rise late game over the Lulu late game. You know, Rise is incredibly well scaling mage, can deal a lot of damage. And on the flip side, neither Lulu or Olaf really have that same effect. So I do favor Hong Kong Attitude a little bit more the later the game goes.
We'll have to find out how late it goes. In fact, Hong Kong Attitude looking to try and add one more win to the tally and move themselves at the standings. Liyab just looking for their second of the split after being able to pick one up last week against the likes of the Berjaya Dragons. Do like what Liyab is bringing out again, and we'll see if they can pull it off. You talked about lacking damage in the 5v5, Clement, but Hong Kong Attitude, you know, they have the ability to split. They have the ability to set up picks. If they don't do the math right and they end up getting outnumbered in some of those skirmishes, things could definitely turn. I think Liyab are pretty happy with splitting on the fight and taking skirmishes around those objective plays, it seems.
And that's why I say that, you know, if I'm just looking at the draft, I actually like Liyab's draft a little bit more because I think it's more straightforward. Throughout most of the early mid game, you should have a sizable lead, and you can snowball off of that just with the Varus Chains of Corruption and with the Solar Flare coming down. It's a much more easy to execute comp where you're already coming off winning positions. Well, I feel like for Hong Kong Attitude, you actually have to stay pretty safe throughout some of the phases of the game, especially early on. Rise, the 2v2 is not going to be very comfortable for them.
Though I see how Bivin slots back in too.
Yeah, Bivin slots is a bit of a surprise because I don't think Hongsuo was actually playing that poorly. But as we have said before, Hong Kong Attitude definitely not achieving what we thought they would be able to. They were on about a 500 win rate at the end of the split after Kongyue joined. So if you take that and compare it to what they've done this split so far, then you have to say that overall the team has done actually better with Bivin in the roster. I will say that the rest of the league has also leveled up, so maybe that's not fair for Hongsuo, but just looking at the numbers and the stats that each have played with, then you can make that sort of comment.
A little bit of cheese coming out from Liyab to start. It was sniffed out by Rock as he was chased out of that river brush, but I think Liyab are banking on the fact that maybe he doesn't know how many people are there, but instead he's just going to start off helping the blue buff. Oh, wait, Liyab aren't going to wait for it. They're going to go for the chase down. Full commit.
I like the idea from Liyab, but I don't even think Rock is going to be that crazy. If you see Olaf in the level 1, you give him right away. Like, there's no one challenges Olaf on level 1. His undertow chain can just kill you out of nowhere. So I like that Rock didn't try to do anything crazy up in the level 1. Handed over the reins to Liyab on this jungle position. And we are going to get Kongyue actually starting up on the Wolves, so securing at least one camp on his top side. So if he goes into vertical, he will be up one.
Yeah, good adaptation there for Kongye. Always we're talking about for the Hong Kong Attitude jungler. He is still our KP king, highest skill participation. He likes to go in. He likes to be the carry himself. Rather than setting up the team for a success, he is the team's success in many cases.
Yeah, and we have seen Hong Kong Attitude at the start of the split. They played a lot of Diana, Viego, carry jungle performances coming out from them. And this has always been my problem for Hong Kong Attitude, is that I feel like they're almost too eclectic of a team. They play a lot of different compositions. They played Aphelios for a while. They played All On, Kalista for a while. And I find it really difficult to say that they've actually mastered any of these compositions or play them as effective as they could be. And unfortunately, that was just Liyab walking up when he was at a level disadvantage. He did come into lane a little bit late, so we do have to point that out. Level 3, Rise gets his full set of abilities, able to chunk out Xyliath easily.
Yeah, so forced back just a little bit by his early game attempts at cheesing out an early kill. Yeah, I think you're right. Hong Kong Attitude definitely are sort of the jack of all trades, master of none sort of team as far as the PCS is concerned. They really like a lot of different things at different points. We'll see if some of that breadth of experience suits them. Quick flash for Maiden. Stops the gank in its traps.
Didn't really see how the early game went, but in a vertical jungle situation, it's always very detrimental for your bot lane to be pushing out. Unfortunately, Liyab do pay the price there, as we do have a decent camp coming out from Kongyue. In the meantime, looking across the board, small wins coming out from the top lane in Kanji already. We haven't seen this matchup all that much. I think Kanji played it once before, but we'll see how this one goes. I do expect Fiora to be able to win this one out. Usually champions that do well against Gwen are champions that can just fight her straight up in the mist, and Fiora is one of those champions that does want to stick close to you and just keep on proccing those weakness procs. And for the mid lane, we actually have a decent advantage coming out from Bivin, just able to shove this one up against Lulu full time. He did have a level lead, and he started the lane 14 CS against, I think, 8 or 2 or something like that. So he did get a pretty large lead as Xyliath came into the lane late. We will have to see if Dodoi is able to equalize that out. Technically, you should have the lead with Lulu versus Olaf as a stronger 2v2.
Speaking of Olaf, Dodoi is going to run straight into... Oh, Kongye trying to steal away a little bit of those camps.
Thank you, Zin.
Yeah. No emote slap there. Dodoi's too polite.
I like that they're not trying to hard force for the top lane. No crowd control on either champion here. So it's going to make that dive pretty difficult. And you also have an Ignite onto Rock, which means you can take probably one less tower shot there. And just going to let Rock be for the time being. I'm not sure this vertical jungle actually favors Liyab all that much. What it does on the map is it allows Kanji to play very aggressively because the opponent is not going to have any jungle pressure. But in the flip side, when you are playing vertical jungle, then mid-jungle duo actually becomes less important. When you're playing vertical, mid-jungle almost never clashes together because the jungle is on different sides of the map. So
it definitely shifts things a little bit.
Yeah, Lulu Olaf actually doesn't get a lot of mileage in this setup.
Kongye has spent a fair bit of time bot because he's just been so empowered to do so. Aiden still doesn't have flash. If he steps up a little too far forward, could be trouble. No level 6, though, for anybody involved in this right now, so ultimates aren't a thing, but Aiden does get rooted down. And we can see Dodoi actually coming in for a counterplay. Kongye taking very low.
Oh, the flash
auto for a first blood. Dawn completed it after the piercing arrow, and all of a sudden Liyab.
The chase down
continues.
continues.
Didn't expect it. We got this even more. Bivin, he's actually turned on, but it's going to be K and M that take the damage. The chunk a little bit too far stepping, and they are going to walk away. Liyab, I really think Dodoi coming through lane was an unexpected turn of events for Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, to be honest, they didn't even really need Xyliath coming back forward. Liyab could be looking for more as they open up on Bivin.
Yep, they get 2, and that's going to be the big old Olaf prompting an instant exhaust. Doesn't have his Ragnarok just yet. Bivin takes a lot of damage, but not enough, and now the trap starts to close as the teleport comes in. Kongye looking to close the line. Xyliath and Dodoi both burning flash to get away, but I don't think they both will. Xyliath left for dead.
Oh, he gets the kill back.
And meanwhile, Dawn takes down Bivin on the off side of the screen.
Definitely should not have happened right there, but unlucky series of events for Liyab. as Kongre goes a little bit too far forward, and so does Bivin at the end. I was kind of chuckling during that fight because Xaylia flashed forward, and then Dodoi flashed, and then Xaylia still got slowed down and had to die. It's definitely better if Dodoi dies there, but, you know, kind of a...
You don't have to outrun the enemy team, you just have to outrun your carry.
It works for
Dodoi will start
and
the
it works
Dragon
for
off,
League of Legends as well.
Yeah.
Actually, Dodoi staying alive is probably more important. I correct myself, you know, like Dodoi staying alive allows them to get this.
They will be able to scare up the first Cloud Dragon. So the vertical jungling ends pretty abruptly there. And despite some mistakes, despite a bit of a messy play, I suppose, Liyab do walk away with the edge. I really want to see how Dawn pulled off the kill down bottom for Bivin. I think he might have just gotten cut off, but Dawn honestly starting to roll ahead with this one. Here's that replay again, where they take the double blast going over the wall.
Yeah, this was really well played for them. Unfortunately, no Ragnarok, or he would have been able to chase down through most of the just the slows here. And our eyes are really on Bivin to see how he was killed here. He's still on... Okay, he takes one arrow to the face, and he takes another arrow, and then he dies. That was a lot more straightforward than I assumed.
Yeah, I thought I thought he went back to lane and like tried to like 1v1 Dawn or something, but no, it was just he just got chunked.
Yeah, well played by Dawn, the Filipino sniper, you know, definitely showing up to play here.
Yeah, 2-0 Vars. I love that. Like, he gets the piercing arrow at the start of all of that, and, like, it's, like, just not enough to kill Kongye, and then he's, like, flash auto for the win.
Yeah, that was kind of weird from Kongye, because they had just used all their abilities, and Leona got her W in time, so, ooh, Realm Warp.
Hello, they look for the play onto Liyab. Again, Chains of Corruption do land. Aiden might be sacrificed here as the curtain call is opened up. And he's going to be able to blast Kun away. Oh, the teleport on the opposite side. They have to commit to it. It's going to finish, and Kanji goes in.
Gets one kill.
Looking for Rock as well. The turnabout. It's massive here. They will have Bivin picking up Dodoi on the back half. But a 2-for-1, once again favoring Liyab.
And that was so many ultimates used just trying to get the support on Aiden. Aiden is able to keep alive with the wild growth. And then Kanji just comes in with the instant kill, ensures that the Grand Challenge will go down, and Hong Kong Attitude have to back off. Even though they had a 3v1 in that brush, they cannot stay there. So really well played by Liyab to just draw out all of the ultimates. You can see the curtain call, the needlework being expended right here, the Realm Warp, everything to kill a support. It doesn't go through, and they have no counterplay on the backside. Love Kanji's idea right here to just go directly for the first kill, make sure he gets the Grand Challenge down, even though the visuals don't really show right there, but he did get it down, and that just ensures that Hong Kong Attitude have to back out directly after the play. However, the Herald remains untouched, so Hong Kong Attitude still get another chance at that.
Yeah, Liyab get the kills. They weren't able to then turn around to secure the objective off the back of it. They had lost Dodoi in the engagement. Ooh, Dodoi sweeps, sees the ward, and opts not to take it. It doesn't give vision at the moment anyways. And he might be able to solo sneak this. Okay.
Yeah, the lanes are really slow coming out from Hong Kong Attitude, and we already have Aiden roaming towards that direction. Kanji, though, doesn't have his TP, so we potentially could have a 4v4 here. I do think Hong Kong Attitude are way too late on this play, though.
They are way too late to try and stop it, but they may try to go for the fight instead. Dodoi, nope. He just stutter steps to dodge any damage at all and walks away freely with the Herald. Nicely done by Liyab.
And I really didn't expect this earlier on, but Liyab are playing from strength to strength right now. They forced the vertical jungle early because you can't really contest an Olaf, and then they get a bunch of kills in the bot lane, which was rather unexpected. And this is huge implications on the map right now. It basically means that whatever 2v2 that Liyab get, Hong Kong Attitude are going to be bleeding out turret plates. There's no way that M&M can actually take the poke coming out at this point. So I actually feel like it's a little bit better for Hong Kong Attitude to be swapping around and denying Kanji in the meantime as well. So we'll see what they do on the map, but it does look like they're bleeding out a lot of minions on the top lane, and they thought about going for Drake, but now they're sending the bot lane still top again. This does end up pairing a little bit better. I think their 2v2 should be targeted on Fiora. Fiora can't really farm when she's against both the Jhin and the Braum, so I think that's a little bit better of a setup for them.
Yeah, that should be okay for Hong Kong Attitude, but I really like what Liyab has been bringing out. This game, what we saw last time around, just their early game has, we talk about it week over week. It has improved. Their mid game's improved. We see this team really leveling up, but just painfully not able to find wins, not able to find closes, except for this last week against the Brajaya Dragons. Right now, things are looking good for this team. They seem to have an edge. They seem to have the map awareness, the map control. They'll get the Rift Herald pop down on the bottom. Should be able to secure first brick up off of that, as there are no defenders. And it's just nice to see Liyab honestly having a solid early game.
Yeah, this is a beautiful play from Liyab. They're also, I think they're incorporating a lot more elements into their gameplay. At the start of the split, a lot of Liyab drafts, they were just lacking in power in terms of the actual lane phases themselves. And if you look at recent wins picked up by Liyab, by Alpha Esports, most of them have the same thing. It's just buffing up your early game, getting better lane champions, getting counter picks on the red side, playing from a position of strength into the mid game, and then incorporating more elements like the macro and the rotations coming in. As we see in the top lane, a really heavy trade going on, which seems to be favoring Rock.
Dodo is the one that gets caught down on the bottom. They're actually going to turn their attention there, and it was all a bait by Liyab as they open up by taking down Kongye. Dodoi tanks up so much damage, but he gets the wild growth on. We didn't have time to tag up top, Clement, because the fight down bot was too explosive.
Yeah, the observers definitely know best. I should not have questioned that play because I was like, whoa, top lane's, they're actually fighting.
I was right there with you until the fight happened.
Yeah, but they definitely caught on where the camera should be. The death is always more important, and they find another kill on the Kongre before he could even use his flash there. So good find onto Liyab's part, coming in with, again, with Dawn. I believe it was the Chains of Corruptions landing that gave them the full burst combo.
Yeah, Liyab have been doing a great job of just kind of going for the roaming gank squads at the moment and really setting up plays. Honestly using Kongye's penchant for aggression against him. And Kongye has just had a little bit of a rough game. Kind of gets set behind. He was able to adapt to the vertical jungling well. He just hasn't been as present in the fights as Dodoi has on the Soloth.
Yeah, and that's kind of a weird thing to say given, what Kongye has done in the past. And this split has been a bit weird for him. I feel like a lot of times he's trying to force things way too hard, especially that bot lane play. You could tell that Leona was nowhere near death, and he still went in fully to commit on that. The gank got turned around completely, and it just leaves Hong Kong Attitude in a very weak spot on the map right now. For sure, Liyab, just in a straight-up fight, does have more power at this point, especially coming off of Dawn. And what I think Hong Kong Attitude need to do is just have try to find opportunities where they can find picks. One thing they can do is basically sneak Bivin away from the top side and try to collapse picks into the mid. Varus plus Leona does not actually have a lot of survivability, and if you use Curtain Calls plus Realm War behind them, they should be able to get a kill on Dawn, and he also has a big bounty gold on him, so I expect that to be the next target for Hong Kong Attitude.
You do see Kongye hovering around there at the very least, but they haven't opened anything up. If they want to try and make a play into the mid lane, it's going to be a little difficult to do from the top side of the river because it's just littered with Liyab wards right now. And Dodoi, honestly, tracking him this game, he has had just a pretty good time, like really setting up his lanes and the rest of his teams for success. And it does look like as he's spotted on this ward, Hong Kong Attitude are kind of calling, pinging on to say that they maybe want to try and react to this because there's just so much ward clearing happening.
And we are going to get the next Drake Herald fight up in less than a minute, so both teams setting up for it. The Bivin is in a lot of danger here.
Oh, Dodoi, he actually does not pop the Ragnarok, just goes for the ward close, and now they will try and pressure on top. No, they're going to walk away from this one, realizing there's a lot of cavalry arriving. They don't want to be down when the Rift Herald spawns.
Yeah, now Dodoi does have to find a camp to get his HP back. He does have the Gore Drinker. The wave should be fine as he uses his W there. But now Hong Kong Attitude do actually get the inside track onto River. Clearing out those side brushes always incredibly important. We have seen a lot of Brahms just get great glacial fissures from that brush on the bottom side here. So it does force Aiden to check. Does
not land the Zenith Blade critically, and it is going to be Kongye forcing the fight to start again. takes a lot of damage before the teleport can complete. Aiden's actually melted through. Kanji a little late to this party. Will look to walk forward. The mist is down. Rock trying to zone away the rest of the team, and that is a 1 for none. As Liyab never really had the inside track, but they do turn in. Look for the repost. In comes K for the defense. And that's going to be it.
Just a jungle for support trait here. Early. Yeah, and I still think that Liyab got a little bit better out of that trade. You know, they force away the top lane and get a bit of turret chip in the meantime. This could have gone a lot worse for for Liyab, in my opinion, as Hong Kong Attitude did have better position on this side of the brush, but unfortunately they weren't congregated as quickly as Liyab on the other side. And just trading the jungle for support, for the most part, you're pretty happy with that trade. That's honestly fine. And you do have Olaf with the kill as well, which is going to make him a lot tankier, a lot closer to that Sterix gauge. You get that on the next fight, and it's almost impossible to really lose with that one. We have seen the way Dodo plays Olaf is he's just flashing in on your backline and then core drinking there. So he usually stays alive for a very, very long time if he does manage to reach that situation. And it's going to be up for the, I think, a lot on Kongria to use his Crescent Guard before the Ragnarok is popped to kind of deny that.
I do like that Dodo just uses his Ragnarok to run away. He's like, yeah, I get the kill, and then you can't stop me from leaving. Dragon will start. This is Liyab looking for Soul Point, and there's a lot of poke coming out here. Kanji does get stopped for a second in the turn. It's not fully committed, but they will get that smite down to finish the job, and now turning on to Kongria, immediately deleting the jungler once again and splitting the rest of the fight. Even though Rock was dishing damage and clipping onto Aiden, it is not nearly enough. A 3 for 1, and Bivin is caught on the wrong side of the map. He jumps forward looking for Kanji, but he didn't count on Xyliath being there.
And that's a massive win for Liyab. They get both objectives on the map with a 4-man wipe there. Hong Kong Attitude's play for me was a little bit weird. I don't think they had any business in challenging a straight-up 5v5 at that point. They're pretty far behind the curve. And they were also missing a couple of crucial summoners, especially from Kongria. So they went very close to the Drake Pit. Very easy turnaround for Liyab afterwards. And Liyab just mopped the floor with them. Please don't forget your Herald. We've already seen that happen in the PCS.
We don't talk about that, Clement. That was just the one time.
Okay. You know, I've been passing this region, and I guarantee you it's happened more than once. I hate to say it, but...
you know what? I believe it, but you know, sometimes things get crazy in the heat of battle. I love this immediate turn onto Kongye. Aiden has been on point with the Zenith Blade, and then Kanji's zoning over here, so Bivin just can't do anything with his team. And Bivin's like, wait a minute, I can take this. Oh no, I've made a mistake.
He wasn't getting away either way, so, you know, sometimes you might want to try your luck out on that one. Actually, probably could have just taken the Pop Blossom, but we won't revisit that play too much. I think the critical mistake there for Hong Kong Attitude was that they were walking inside into the river, trying to get that play, even though they were missing so many critical ultimates. They didn't have Glacial Fissure, they didn't have Crescent Guard, and fighting Liyab that was already massively ahead in gold. If you look at Dawn and Dodoy at that point, it was kind of weird. I feel like Hong Kong Attitude, the way they needed to play that was actually keep their distance and wait for Liyab to split up. They could not take that fight just straight on, and they just kind of walked themselves into a trap. It was, frankly, I don't even think Liyab needed to do that much to get that engage going. It was a very straightforward fight. You could see K did not have his ultimate in that one, so could not disengage, and Liyab just ran over them. Yeah,
Liyab have done a great job team fighting, and you know, it has been kind of a little bit of time out in the wilderness for Liyab fans looking for the wins. This split for Jaya Dragons last week, though, really helps them to feel a little bit better about how this team is doing, how they're evolving. Now this game, just honestly, solid macro, solid map play, and kind of finding a strategy that just it's signature Liyab, but it works well for them. And against this team, this Hong Kong Attitude team, this would be a big victory for a squad that is just still hungry to try and prove they do deserve to get into the playoffs.
And Liyab can force that crucial Infernal Soul fight just 2 minutes later into the game. At this point, they do so much more damage. You have Dawn 404, 2.5 items already before M&M even has 2 completed. So at this point, like I feel like Hong Kong Attitude, what they need to do is they need to use that global initiative. They have the Realm Warp, they have the Curtain Call. They should be able to. What I wanted to see them do is Bivin on a side lane. They should only have Jin in mid, have Bivin side lane, split push one lane. Honestly, Xylias should not be able to match, and then you move Bivin into the mid lane for a catch. I think that's the best course of action for them, but they need to sync up everything together. If the Infernal Soul goes to Liyab, I don't think they're coming back.
Yeah, and they might have to force a fight just to make sure that doesn't happen, and we've already seen those not work out in favor of Hong Kong Attitude, so maybe a little bit of desperation on the HKA side here. They do put Bivin up top, so maybe they're listening in on you there, Clement, and we'll see if it ends up working out.
I think this is their best course of action. If you look at Liyab, they don't have a 1-3-1. Lulu is not really a side lane split pusher. She can't match at this point. So you should have a lot of initiative with Bivin, and the rest of it is just about catching someone off. But I also like what Liyab is doing here. They're actually completely leaving the top lane alone. This is the smart play. This is the play to make sure that you can never get caught out by Hong Kong Attitude. And if you get into the river as a 5v5, Liyab should win this, I think, 95 times out of 100. It's honestly that lopsided. So all they have to do is make sure they get the transition in without anyone being caught out.
Hong Kong Attitude do have the inside track. Oh, the Rift Herald is actually popped in the mid lane. This is going to force a reaction from Hong Kong Attitude. And Liyab look to try and open a fight here. Aiden does get tagged up. There is going to be some damage. Oh, two-man Leona ultimate. And just like that, they flip the switch. Kay gets taken down, and everyone's getting chunked through. Dodoy on a rampage, and Dawn on a huge killing spree as he looks to turn Kanji now, chasing down M&M. They don't even need the soul just yet. They can take the turrets and then get it for dessert.
And that's what we want to see out of Liyab. Big, decisive fights. They know they have the lead, they smell the blood, and they just go right in. Love this play. M&M is out of position here. He's not really in place to help the rest of the team, so they just open up on the right side of the map. They tag down K immediately, and Kanji is forcing away. He's basically playing a 1v2 at this point. On the meantime, we do have Dawn staying alive and picking up even more kills. 700 gold bounty at this point. That was beautiful to watch from Liyab. You know, I love their setup as well. Like, this is how you can tell Liyab is actually growing, is because they're doing setup so far in advance. It was 2 minutes when we did the countdown and we talked about how Bivin has that lead in the side lane, and Liyab did not send a single person top lane. They were solely focused on securing Infernal Drake, and that's exactly what they should have done.
Liyab just looking so clean in this game. Finding ways to just keep growing their lead, get the advantages. Now they have the inside track on the Baron. Going to be able to clear away the rest of the vision here. Not going to start that one up just yet. They keep Kanji on the bottom side of the map, who is just so hard to deal with if you're anyone on Hong Kong Attitude. And, you know, kind of something we haven't talked about as much is that they've been able to keep Rox Gwen really on the back foot this game. They're just not giving him any opportunities to get rolling. And we just haven't seen him be very effective on it as a result.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Hong Kong Attitude has ever gotten a situation where, you know, Gwen is coming into the fight where they're already winning and she's just using her needlework to slow people and prevent people from getting away. I think that's the best situation for Gwen in this game, but it just hasn't happened. If you think about Hong Kong Attitude overall, like, they have a lot of ultimates that, okay, Kanji? Not sure about the 1v2.
He's going to go for the 1v2 right now. I think he's confident enough, even if he loses it. This is going to be a Baron going the way of Liyab. However, the turn is coming for Hong Kong Attitude as they decide to peel away, calling the bluff on this one. They do move their way over to Rock, looking for damage, chunked out a little bit here by the poke as the teleport now will come through. And this might be an opportunity for Hong Kong Attitude to get back into this one. 5v4 at the moment.
I'm not so sure because Dawn is still incredibly healthy, and he does have Infernal Soul. We just saw like one piercing arrow do half of Rock's HP, so even with Hong Kong Attitude getting the kill, they can't start the Baron there. That was I think that's the right call. You do Baron there, your whole team's gonna get wiped.
Liyab still terrifying. Unfortunately for Kanji, he didn't think he reckoned on having two people there in the bottom side of the map, but all the same, push continues to shove. Liyab, significant lead still.
I think what Liyab should do right now is they should get the same setup where Kanji is past river, and this time Kanji actually has TP advantage. You have double TP advantage over 0 TPs left on Hong Kong Attitude. You just run that play again. It's a high percentage play. You could even send Xyliath to the bot lane to sort of help out with that one. But it seems like Kanji himself is enough. Even against the red buff and the minion wave, I'd probably take Kanji here. But Relmo's coming in.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Rock is in onto Kanji. Bivin wants to just participate in this one as he flashes forward with the Q. And I don't believe it. I think Kanji's out. Meanwhile, Liyab, they're right back on the Baron.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting play, but at most, Hong Kong Attitude can send 3 people here. They're just going to take the turrets as consolation prize, so 2,000 gold over for the Baron buff. But
not done yet.
Liyab doesn't want to let them go.
Yeah, Aiden has just been frontlining so hard this game. Kongye has absolutely nowhere to go, getting slowed down over and over and over, and Dodoy just bashing him over with those cleavers. That's going to be the Baron and change as Kongye falls yet again, and Liyab in full control of this game.
I'm not sure about that move from Hong Kong Attitude. They had to have a very quick kill onto Kanji. They're going for it again, though, which is interesting because your base is wide open.
They're going to try to go for the moral victory. Okay, Rock and Bivin have just decided Kanji isn't going to have a fun time, but now there's a teleport coming in, and Kanji is already outplaying 1v2. He doesn't need Xyliath, but it's nice to have the moral support. Liyab are taking everything this game, and if you're a fan of this team, I think you can refresh those opium stores.
Look at how stoic Dawn looks. It's like, yep, Kanji just doing Kanji things. I'm playing PvE again. This is my life now. But it's totally okay. That was such a weird play from the Hong Kong Attitude, to be honest, because they didn't actually have ways to get back. So even if they got that kill, their mid lane inhibitor was gone. They could stop themselves from losing, I guess. But the price tag would have been the same. And with that play failing, it's actually even worse from this point. And I don't want to jinx it, but honestly, Hong Kong Attitude are down it now. I don't see a way to get back into this one.
Liyab are just playing so well. Let's see that again. I mean, at this point, yeah, you've invested so heavily, and Kanji goes for a 1v2. Yeah, Xyliath TP's in, and he probably didn't need to, but, like, this is just disgusting.
Oh, even
Riposte, grand challenge. It's so free.
That was so good from Kanji. He actually read Bivin like a book. Turns around, gets the riposte onto the Rune Prison for the stun back. And frankly, he could have taken that 1v2. I don't think he needed Xyliath. Like you mentioned, he could have taken that 1v2 just straight up. So, yeah, that's a bit of a feels bad. I feel like Hong Kong Attitude, their recent plays in terms of executing with this composition have just been a bit lacking. If you look at their comp, they have a lot of tools that are more focused on picking people off, but they've never gone for picks, which is the weird thing about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd. Oh, that's going to be the Chains of Corruption instantly. The turn, Dawn deletes 2 in the blink of an eye with the help of his team. Kanji not even needing to get involved. As you mentioned, he continues to just play PvE this game. Liyab, they should be able to close this one anytime they darn well please.
Oh my god, is this the same team that we knew from spring? Is this Liyab that we're witnessing right now, walking over Hong Kong Attitude like they're intermediate bots? This is pretty disgusting. Over 13k advantage, and they close out Hong Kong Attitude at 30 minutes for their second win of the split. Liyab Gaming does it again.
Oh man, the boys from the Philippines are happy tonight. Big smiles on the faces for Liyab Esports. Honestly, it was such a clean game. It was such a beautiful game. The coordination, the baiting, the engagement. I mean, I want to give Aiden huge credit because how many solar flares did we see that just resulted in like a big old wombo combo? That team clearly knew what they were doing from draft to finish.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was about how they played when they had the lead and when they had the Drake stacking. They were always going for the juggler. They knew what sort of engages that they were looking for. On the flip side, I felt like Hong Kong Attitude left themselves in such exposed positions when they were clearly at a deficit, and they didn't have the tools to fight a straight up 5v5. It was really weird to see, especially the first Drake when they didn't have Glacial Fissure, and it was just so weird because they had no chance of disengaging and they just got ran over in a crucial third Drake team fight. where they really should have played more for pick potential, kept the split pushings going. And I just feel like this game was a bit weird in the way they utilized Bivin. Of course, this is his debut game back in the team, but I feel like they could have gotten a lot more with him split pushing constantly on the side against Lulu, who can't really match, and then for him to fold back into the team. I feel like that was the sort of way that they needed to play this game out. Unfortunately, just a lot of critical team fights that went into Liyab's way. Another huge one, I think, was the one where they wasted 3 ultimates trying to catch out Aiden. Aiden survives, and then Kanji goes in directly for a Grand Challenger, which basically means that everyone on Hong Kong Attitude has to back out immediately from that area that gives the entire team from Liyab healing. So just the team difference in team fights was massive, and I feel like Hong Kong Attitude, to me, this is still their main problem. I still don't think they have a system of execution that is tied down to one archetype in terms of their comps. They play all these different types of comps, and I just feel like it's too overwhelming for a team that is running a lot of rookies.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And when you are constantly rotating players on your roster too, right? I mean, like Hongso played the majority of the games, but then of course they pulled Wen in. Now they have Bivin. They had swapped Slaytrue for K. I feel like this is a team that I feel like they're impatient. They want answers fast, and they're not really committing to any one thing. They just keep swapping over to whatever they think is going to be the next best. And, you know, from the beginning of the split, it looked like they had some really smart drafting, some really smart game plans, but execution has just been kind of all over the place. So I do wonder for Hong Kong Attitude going forward in the split, if this kind of lack of coordination keeps up, if this is a team that, you know, is in danger of even falling out of playoff contention, which is kind of hard to do when 8 teams make it, but it's possible.
The best game that I've actually seen from Hong Kong Attitude was when Rock was on Malphite, like literally playing his namesake, and all he had to do was click the R button and the rest of the team follows him. I don't think Hong Kong Attitude are a team that can actually play extremely sophisticated compositions, which require a lot of coordination and like macro and map planning and stuff like that. It's kind of sad to say that, but I honestly don't think that they're at level to play that sort of a team comp, and I would just much rather them stick to either, you know, we have better players, so we're going for full red side, full down to the earth, drafting Callista.
Back to basics is never a bad idea, right? If you're worried about coordinating, and yeah, it's late in the split, but it doesn't mean they can't still pull it together, and they are still very likely to make playoffs if they can still stack enough wins together. So I don't think all is lost for Hong Kong Attitude, but I think you're right. They definitely should stick to something a little simpler for the time being. We're seeing teams find success on that and find success on things they're comfortable with. And here was that game. You know, honestly, Liyab just felt in control of it. I think Dodoi really set them up well early. Xyliat did everything he needed to. Dawn just became a monster, and then Kanji was untouchable on the side lane. I mean, everybody kind of did their job and did it extremely well.
This is probably the best bot lane performance that we had from Dawn and Aiden in a very long time. And against Eminem and K, that is no small feat. I actually rank Eminem quite highly. And, you know, in the past, he's been Korean Challenger, 1,000+ points. When I went to Worlds with him, at least, but that was 2 years back. I don't know about now. But, you know, I think this is what we see from Liyab a lot of times, is that if their laning phase goes well, they actually play macro decisions quite well. This is not a team that I feel like, you know, there are other teams that play lanes significantly better, but then the mid game rolls around and you're just like, I'm not sure what happens. And I think that they're kind of like opposites with Hong Kong Attitude, who, in my opinion, have much better laners, but Liyab are able to just outplay them this time around. And Dodoi, I guess I have to say sorry for doubting your Olaf. I know I wasn't a fan, but if you have Xyliat picking Lulu every game, Olaf is fine. Olaf is lit.
It worked. He just runs in, he gets kills, he Ragnarok Wild Gross out. It's like totally fine. He just, you know, you can't stop the guy, and he was able to set the team up for those later game fights where everyone else was just becoming a beast. I think Dodoi does a great job really enabling, I think, the team around him.
Yeah, as long as he plays it with Lulu, I'm okay with it. Without Lulu,
it's one caveat.
Karma's okay, but without
just put Xyliat on something a little more supportive, see how it works out. You know, clearly they found something that works for them, and I like this for Liyab. I want to see more from this team, but we have got to go on break. When we return, PSG versus Machi, you won't want to miss it. So we'll be right back.